Welcome to Bon Jovi Discussions. Today I have one of my great Bon Jovi friends, PJ. PJ and we've been friends for, what do you think, 2011 now?
Oh, dude, I want to say just a little earlier than that. Because where did we really start meeting? It was on the fan club?
Well, we met each other on the fan club, and then we
Yeah.
had MySpace. It was still MySpace days, dude, before Facebook and all that stuff.
I was gonna say because
right.
I think it was around like 2008, 2009 when I really started getting into it. So you're in a fan club, you got your credit card little thing they send you and stuff, and there was a chat room in there. And,
I think that's how we met too, was the chat room or maybe one of the forums or something. But you and we actually met. I think the first time we met was actually at MetLife in 2013. Might have even
probably
been
it. The thing is, we've been to many of the same shows because we're generally in the same area. So, but I think the first time I actually went up and talked to you and then saw you in person was probably at MetLife. I forgot we even were going to bring that up. We were going over stuff.
I also thought we also met during the Circle Tour, Greatest Hits Tour, but I could even not Lost Highway. I don't think so. But anyway,
the thing is, that's how it gets when you go to like 50 plus shows. It's just like it's hard to put them down. I stopped counting after like 35.
Yeah, and then we met up on the last tour, this house tour in Cleveland, I think.
Yeah,
and that was fun. But yeah, so we've been friends for quite a while, and so it's great to have you on. So,
oh man, it's awesome.
So, first question: how did you get into Bon Jovi, and when?
Well, good question. Well, when I was, we had like old VHS tapes. Like my mom and my aunt, for instance, were huge Bon Jovi fans. You know, he was the Bieber, I guess, of them when they were younger. That's how I tell people. And so when we're younger, I remember we had videos of like me in elementary school and we're bobbing for apples, and my parents have like Keep the Faith and stuff playing in the background of like their first Greatest Hits album, like that playing on. So I knew the music growing up. So we all grew up on like 80s music, Journey, all that good stuff. And, you know, and then when I became of age, Bon Jovi was, you know, it was Have a Nice Day, I believe, when the Hand tour was going out. So there was a bunch of tours and stuff there and dates around me, and I went. So that's when everything clicks, and that's when you just become addicted.
Yep.
And that's how it all starts, a little bit at a time. So I guess you could say from birth, and then I really, really hit it hard when I was like 16, when I could get in my car and go somewhere and go to a concert myself. So, what about you? You were like young, weren't you?
I was 8 years old.
Crush, the Crush album, right?
Yep, before Crush came out, because I was sitting on the living room floor going through channels, and VH1 was on. This is when VH1 started to play music. Was still music,
or still did, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the "It's My Life" video came on, and just like watching the stunt man, make his way to the Bon Jovi show. I was like, this band must be pretty good if he, you're 8 years old, so you don't really know the logistics.
Oh, it fascinates you.
But I was like, oh, he must really like the band, and so I was like, I'll watch. And I just thought when they showed John and Richie and the rest of the band, I was like, man, these guys are really cool. Watching that tunnel packed with cars and stuff, and you thought that it was an actual concert.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I loved that song so much, and I would watch it every morning. And then Crush was going to come out, I think, 2 weeks later, and I begged my dad to buy me that album. I was like, I love this song so much, I'm going to listen to it on my radio. And luckily, my dad did. The morning it came out, I came home from camp because it was summertime. I camped during the day, and I came home in the afternoon, and on my dresser was the Crush album, and that's how it all started.
Yeah. So it's just a crazy money pit for the rest of your life.
It sure is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get into our discussions, I want to talk about that president shirt that you have on.
This one? Let me show it.
Yeah, you got to show it.
Get a good view of it for everybody. John Jovi for president.
See, I remember
a great soothing shirt.
Yeah,
Nothing crazy.
I remember the Lost Highway tour pre-Circle era, so 08, 09, they had those posters and pins. I never knew about the shirt, though. I don't remember the show.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I know we talked before the podcast, but I think you're right. I did get it on. I have two of them actually, and I got one for me and one from my sister, and then I found it again somewhere and I took it. So I have two, but I don't even know where the other one is at the
Ah,
moment. Yeah, I have so many. It's cool that I bought T-shirts from all the years because you can really see the band change and the way their music changed as well. And so I'm like, I remember when Lost Highway came out and everyone was like, oh, it's a country album, and just how they had just some smash hits on it and just some really good just get in your car, put the windows down, and don't change a song for a while kind of CD that you could listen to.
yeah.
Just really laid back, nothing screaming in your face. Everything was, it was feel good music.
Yep.
And then you see them just switch, from that to Have a Nice Day and everything else like that, and just how many times they've changed just with the way times are going and their music. They're not just one hit wonders over and over again. They're
No.
constantly trying to break the edge with stuff, which is what I like. And yeah,
Well,
sometimes. Yeah, go ahead.
let's talk about Central Park, because I
Okay.
know, for the people that don't know, Bon Jovi did a Central Park show back in '08, and it was, I want to say it was a free show, but I remember there was some, tax in it
It
and fees and all
How
that.
it worked. I guess if you watch the Bon Jovi documentary that they had,
Yeah, that's true.
When We Were Beautiful, he talks about it. And pretty much they want to charge like a tax, and then it was like $1 for the ticket. And then I remember you could only get them when they went on sale outside of the Yankee Stadium or the Met Stadium, and there was like waiting lists. And I'm sure you could have got them in other bulks of, like, if you were a club of like Citibank or however they financed it.
The fan club
And
also sold them too.
yeah, it was like they were hard to come by, at least for me at that time, because I was so young. And think about it, internet wasn't nothing like it is today.
Oh, I know.
Like, you had to actually wait. Internet would drop out because we had DSL,
Oh
and just
God, I
you
remember
actually had
that.
to wait and stuff. You could buy. I remember buying Bon Jovi tickets at Boscov's in the mall. You used to be able to do that. But
Oh,
anywho, I got mine. On eBay. I literally went on eBay and bought two tickets for, like, I think it was like $20 a ticket.
oh
And
man.
I brought my friend Carter with me. I was like, "Hey, let's go." And he had to hook up with a hotel. And say I'm young. I'm 18 years old, I think. Yeah. So my cousin went in the military and he couldn't go, so I took my buddy Carter, and we go up there the night before. Stayed in New Jersey, so we took the subway in the morning, and go out and have a good time. And like that's a question I want to ask later too. Is like, what do people do? What are our knickknacks the night before the show, the day before the show?
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a little too antsy. You're like, I can't get sick. I can't eat this. I got to make sure I'm good.
You
It's just
can't
like a
sleep.
ritual. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a ritual. What do I do to go to sleep? I
Pre-show.
need to make sure I can get rest. But all through that, though, wake up early the next morning. And we were like, we'll get a head start. And, take the subway in, and you're wearing your Bon Jovi gear, and the subway's, I'd say about half packed. And you're like, oh, I'm getting a head start. And I remember getting there to the Great Lawn, and outside they have a wall around Central Park. I believe we were on the west side and the east side. They had two separate lines on the opposite sides. And man, it wrapped down blocks, just lanes of people, not single file or 6 feet apart like we have today. I mean, people packed together
Yeah.
as far as you could see. And then I remember it was hot. It was like 94. I think that was the high that day. Beautiful, clear day though. And I remember sitting there waiting for, like, I don't know, till I forget when they let people in. We got there like 7. I think they let people in at 1, maybe, I'd say. And they had people go in, and the way they had the park set up, it was just circles, just a mass amount of people. But how they had to plan that and coordinate people to kind of like herding sheep, I guess, and just scanning tickets. And then they had you wait at the edges of the park. I'm saying this is the interesting story about it that you don't hear from people is, say I was early, so I was one of the front kind of groups of towards the front of my side. And I remember hearing a bunch of people screaming like a war movie, like Braveheart. And you see people running from the other side as fast as they could go. And you look, and there was the beautiful stage setup, gates, not a single person up there. So you're just salivating, like, man, I'm going to be close. But then your heart drops because you see all these people running as fast as they can from the other side. They got a head start. And I remember my side started to like panic, and they pushed the gates down, and like people were getting trampled. Like I looked at my buddy Carter. I was like, we get lost. You meet me back at this spot. Because that's it. Back then, cell phones were horrible. Couldn't get good videos, and just so many people. But either way, man, gunned it. I jumped over gates and everything like that. You grab a hold of that front bar. I couldn't have ran. I always say I couldn't have run faster. You could have had a suitcase with $1 million on the front of that stage, and so you ran faster. I was front. Grab that bar.
So you were actually front row then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. And I grabbed that bar, and then like anybody who's done that or been in that scenario, it's crazy because it's like bugs hitting the windshield because people are running and they just they'll hit the bar with you there, and you're taking impact.
Yeah.
But then,
go ahead.
I was saying everyone's packed in there, and say like sardines. And I had my jacket trying to cover up. It's 94 degrees, and oh man, everyone was sweating. And we waited until I think the show started at like 7:30. So that was a long
6.5 hours. Yeah.
Oh man, it was worth it though. I guess, man, it's one of the highlights of my life. I guess. I'll think about that forever. And watch it, and just nothing but hits, like John Bon Jovi says. Nothing but the hits, and it was.
Yeah, and my dad took me to go see the Madison Square Garden. So Central Park was July 12th, and then the MSG shows were the 14th and 15th, which concluded the Lost Highway tour. So my dad got us tickets for both of those shows. And I remember I begged him to take me to Central Park. I told him it was a free concert, but my dad couldn't get out of work. And, I was 16 years old. I didn't have a driver's license yet. And so, unfortunately, I missed out on it. But, if I was in that position right now, I would have, done it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, look at you. You go to the Soul Kitchen. I've never even been there. We're generally on the map. We're close to each other, but you're still a little drive from there, and I'm a little closer. I've never been. That was a question I was going to ask you. How's that even work? Is there a line?
For the Soul Kitchen?
Yeah.
So I have every time if I go see Bon Jovi in New Jersey, or because I have family over there too. So if I go see my family there, I will stop and support. So basically, every time I've been there, there's never really a line. I know that we just had vacation a couple weeks ago on our way to go see some family. So we stopped for dinner, and they seat you. Obviously we pay, we make a contribution, and then some. But there's other people who truly are homeless or struggling, and they give a voucher. So that's how that works. But pretty much the volunteers, they actually come right before a meal even, and will and it's easy work. They'll sweep or work in the garden or help set up, and then they'll get a voucher either to have dinner that night or come back with their family. But when my family and we went there, it's amazing to be able to see it, and because we'll go during a Bon Jovi tour, like if Bon Jovi's in Jersey, New York, obviously there's going to be other Bon Jovi fans, but on that day I was the only Bon Jovi fan, and so it was interesting to see the community come, and you actually truly saw people that truly needed that place, that were struggling and hungry. And so, it was really heartwarming to see it in effect. If that makes sense.
Funny story. I had time. I had a couple back surgeries within the past few years, so I had a little bit of time to myself during the healing process. And John Bon Jovi says like, "Oh, to feel good, you got to do good. And I was like, man, I could go volunteer up there. So like you go on their Facebook page and you fill out all your information, and my internet kept lagging, so I kept trying to press send, and I sent them like it must have been like 100 requests to volunteer. I am getting all my notifications from my email, and I never heard back from them. They're probably, this guy is crazy.
Yeah, there's the thing is that I'd love to volunteer, but you'd hate to take that job away from someone. Not saying that you were.
Well, no, that's why I looked into it, and they were saying like, well, we'd rather, like, from other people that had that through my forums I looked at, is they'd rather, if they needed it, yeah, but they'd rather leave spots open for people who want to participate in that program to have that. I'm just gonna go there and clean the whole place up, and people will be like, "Could I have a job for food for my family?" And they'd be like, "There's nothing for you to do." So yeah, good for them. But if the opportunity ever arose, I'd love to.
Exactly, and on the media and all that, John gets for being the dishwasher, but in reality, he tries not to take him and Dorothea and his family try not to do anything there because they're taking a job away from someone there. When we went there a few weeks ago, there was probably maybe 10, 15 volunteers that night. And a few of, like one guy, swept and pulled some weeds. And then an hour later, you saw him bring his family and if his family for the night. So, just being able to see it in tuition, or whatever the word is, see
the emotion
model in
working.
the works.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It's heartwarming, and it makes you appreciate John a lot more, especially as being a fan. It makes you proud to be a fan.
Oh yeah, definitely. How lucky? Like I was thinking the other day, how lucky are we? Because a lot of people ask, why? What really makes you this hard of a fan? Like we're passionate about it. It's like we're our own little cult in a way. And I was like, well, it's kind of like a family thing. But I was like, how great is it that the day I was born and took my first breath of air, Bon Jovi was crushing the charts. And to be able to have all of them and follow my whole life, and not only have them be good role models and be good influences in my life as growing up as a man, that he's still around and they're still putting out music. Like, it's a good connection, and you always communicate with their songs at certain points in your life. And like, how lucky. We lose a lot of people now to crazy things, drugs and everything else, and I think it's real good to have someone like him that keeps a level head and keeps going forward and keeps putting out stuff for us and shows how good he is of a man. He's not boasting about it neither. It's not like he's, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. He's on the news and does things, but like I said, it's not like he's out pushing it in your face like, hey, look what I'm doing. So how fortunate are we?
Yeah, he's such a positive role model. I've looked up to him since I was an 8-year-old kid, and I'm 28 now. And so for the last 20 years, he's been my role model, and, going through life events, such as breakups or losing parents or, or even happy moments, the music has always been there. And, how fortunate, like you said, how fortunate we are, right, that we're alive the same time Bon Jovi is this huge phenomenon. I always regret that I was born in 92, so I never got to experience 83, even up to 2000, when I became a fan. So, I always wish I could have experienced pre-2000.
That's always true, but I'll give you this side of it, because I've always thought that, like, man, how cool my parents got to see all that cool stuff. But it's like a fine wine. Like, we get, especially, like, Have a Nice Day tour and, like, around that era, like, I know they've kind of slowed down. I guess this is my thought, like, when the This House Is Not For Sale tour was going on, I feel like a lot of their shows, and you'll probably agree with me, a lot of their shows are, the set lists are very similar, besides maybe a couple songs. Like, it'd be the same couple songs. And I think it's because of the new members in there. Has to be. Before, and I'm not saying they're not talented, but before, when Richie and everybody was in there, I remember we'd go to concerts and it'd be a big thing. Like, what song are they going to open with? What are
Oh
they
yeah,
gonna do? That was
absolutely.
always a thing. And like, that's the only thing with the last show. I was like, man, I like being surprised.
Yeah,
So it's kind of weird with that.
yeah. It was a huge bummer on the last tour that it was always this house. So on the next tour, I really hope it's a variety of different, because that was fans like you and me, we're so diehard that we're going to go to, I usually do about 5 to 10 shows a tour. And so you want to see a different, I think for this house, I did 6 or 7, I think. And it was practically 95% the same set list.
Mm-hmm.
But
And that's disheartening in a way, but at the same time, say we're growing with it. Thank God we had Phil X because
he's phenomenal.
he's awesome. He's cool. I saw he did your cameo thing. That was sweet. I heard he's a really cool dude behind the scenes with that stuff. And uh, thank God we have him because he stepped in when Richie went out right away.
Yeah.
And the fact that, man, thank God, hopefully, John Bon Jovi's ahead of the game and has people already scheduled to fill in if something happens, because they're not getting any younger. I mean, my God, I'm 30, you're gonna be 32, and I feel like I'm sick and hurting all the time. They're constantly on tour. What happens if one breaks an arm, and how's that affect future playing?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the next topic that I know we wanted to talk about was the Starland Ballroom show, which is another, because I think he did it in 2009 and 2011, if I remember correctly. And I wasn't able to do either of those shows, so I know you did. So let's talk about that.
Okay. Well, the thing for what people know is there was John Bon Jovi would have, of course, some pop-up solo shows from here on out. But that event alone in Sayreville, New Jersey, at the Starland Ballroom, quick little tip that he told us there, that's the way the concert went. It was like a storyteller's, of course, and Richie used to own the Starland Ballroom. And he said Dorothea used to attend bars in the back. And just a nice small little event, and that was one of the first ones I think that kicked off like the Runaway tours.
Yep.
I think that was really the influence of it.
Because
it brought in a lot of money just for a little thing like that, and it really kicked it off. So that's why recently I think it was the 11 years. So within the 10-year anniversary of it, that's when that really kicked off. And
because when he was doing shows there, it was John Bon Jovi and friends. And I think after 2013, it became JBJ and Kings of Suburbia. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. Story goes with that. Yes, that was back. I remember it was in the fan club that was going to happen, and I remember tickets were $750 a piece, which is pennies compared to what it is now. Pennies.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why I didn't go back in 2009, because I had to rely on my dad to buy me a ticket because I was still 16 and I was working as a dishwasher at Eaton Park. And I remember, like you said, the ticket was like $750, $800. And my dad was like, no way.
Yeah.
And then, but unfortunately, my dad passed away before the ballroom show, I believe. And so, like I said, dishwasher at Eaton Park, $800 on.
Well, than panning out. But they, I remember saying that was with the fan club, and it was getting close to buying it, and I had my money, just happened to have it ready to go, and my buddy Carter, the one that went to Central Park with me, his wife asked me if she could help, if I could buy the ticket, and she'll get it to him for Christmas. So it was all a big setup, and they ended up bumping the ticket price down to $500, I think it was. So cool. Really? Because there was the big fuss of how expensive it was. Oh, man. And that's the first time ever I've seen them lower a price, drastically like that. So cool. That all happened. Bought them. Everything's going good. Kept But then my friend Carter, the one that went to Central Park with me, when we were running to the front gate, he had tore his ACL and like part of
Oh,
his MCL in his leg running to the front gate of Central Park for that concert. And he had it surgically repaired. So the question was like, and back then it was, you had to have this person. You couldn't just bring your friend because it was, you could only bring one person with you. It was your ticket and an extra. And there was some weird things going on with that. So he had to go. He was all for it. And I'm 19 then, I think. So we drive all the way up to Sayreville, New Jersey. This is where John Bon Jovi's from. This is where the magic happens. And cute little town, you know. But and we get there, cold winter day, February 23rd, and he his legs all super swollen. I don't know what to do. It's standing room only. He's on crutches. So this is the first time too. I didn't know who Matt was, and I see this dude he looked important, running around pointing fingers. So I was like, I'm gonna go talk to this dude, see if we have any handicap access or something, because there's no way this is gonna happen. Something, a chair or something.
yeah.
So I go over and I'm like, hey man, my name's PJ, and explaining my situation. And he's like, oh hey, I'm Matt Bon Jovi, and I was like, oh wow, you know. And he's like, yeah man, no problem, super nice, and go, okay, sorry, and super nice, and he said, yeah, we can let you in the side right after sound check. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. So we got to wait. Everyone else had to wait out in the cold. It was a cold, windy day, and he so we got to wait in the car in the heat, and then they kind of wave us over, and we go inside, and we could hear the last couple songs that they were doing,
Yeah.
which was really cool, and literally like it was like boom, bam, smash. That's it. You hardly heard any words, and dead quiet. And it was a couple minutes later, like literally they must have just walked off the stage doing their sound checks, and then Matt was like, "All right, you all can come inside." So you're in this tiny spot, and of course I'm with my handicap friend, and they're like, "Okay, stay over here to the right, and you can stay up on this area, or you won't be bothered." And I remember it was like at least 10 minutes before they started letting people run in there. And like I said, perfect, beautiful, all the instruments set up, microphones sitting there, you know, the famous microphone stand, and nobody, an empty floor, spotless, picture perfect, you know. And I looked at my friend and I was like, I gotta go. I can't not stand up front. And so I run up there. He's like, go do it, man. You know, you helped do all this. So I go up front and I get up there, and then like I guess I can't say names, but other of my now Bon Jovi friends, you know, meet up in there, and it was just a cool experience. And then like people start piling in. That feeling of guilt comes over you. I was like, man, I shouldn't have left my friend behind, you know. And you're torn in between two. And then he taps me on the shoulder and he squeezed his way up, and he was right behind me for it. And then say that show, say it really introduced me to the different side of like John Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
At a young age, because like he came out, you know, you think it's gonna be all songs you know, and what a curveball! He came out and with like the Birds, so you want to be a rock and roll star, and you know a lot of stuff from Young Guns and Destination Anywhere, and really one of them concerts that, man, I hope we get to see it again. But man, he had a set list of just, now that I'm older and I'm really more, you know, knowledgeable on all my Bon Jovi songs, I'm like, man, he played a lot of good hits that you'll probably never see at like a solo show like that again.
Yeah. And you know, that show was recorded, but I don't think it was till 2011 in the fan club. You might have it too. I have it somewhere here. I gotta find it. But it was a signed CD of that show.
Yeah, I
got it as a fan club subscription.
Yeah,
back in 11 or 12.
I don't think all of them were signed though. At least I don't think mine was, because it'd be framed in a way.
There was two versions, but this other version was not available. I don't know how people got the other version. It might be a bootleg, but the one I'm talking about was like a brown and black CD.
Yes, got red. He's wearing his red shirt, maybe.
He's not on the cover, so that's the bootleg one, I think.
Okay.
But this one was a black and brown CD, and it was so if you got, because this is back when the fan club did autograph bundles.
I got mine from the fan club, but it was just like simple, like Starland Ballroom, February 23rd, 2009.
Right.
Something simple. Yeah, it had pictures on it and it had a booklet in it and stuff, but I don't think it was signed.
Yeah.
But
I'll send you a picture of mine. I know I have a picture of it. I just don't know where mine. It's somewhere.
Right.
Here.
You put stuff away where it's like, okay, it won't get hurt, and you put it somewhere, and you forget where you put it. That show. Speaking of which, that show. That was the first time. Not to sound weird. That's the first time I ever got to slap hands with the man himself.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, changed my life.
Yeah.
This is a good story. I'll say it too. All the people. He comes up and he slaps my hand, like grips it and then kind of forearms it like that, and it was all sweaty. I turn around, looked at my buddy Carter, and it was all covered in sweat. He's like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was just like, rubbing in them pores, man. And I was like, John Bon Jovi's fluids are now inside my body. It can only get better. And then after the show, he threw his pick down. That's John Bon's actual pick.
Yeah.
And they're cleaning up, because once the show's done, leave, turn the lights on, and they start cleaning stuff up. And I got my big long arm, and I put it out, and the guy just put it in my palm, and I squeezed it in there until I just about bled. I was not letting go of that thing.
Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, and then I still have it. My sister has it, actually. She has a nice guitar pick set up with famous people's guitar picks. Famous people. John Bon Jovi's guitar pick outshines everybody else's on there. But when we were leaving that show, I remember they asked for your name and your mailing address and number on a card that you had to fill out. And I remember, you went up to the side where they sold all the merchandise, and you gave it to them, and they would take it, and they literally took it and oh, okay, thanks, and they threw it in a pile in the corner. It was just a mess of just little square pieces of paper with everyone's names on it. And I remember I contacted somebody about it, because I was like, yo, we get promised a CD and everything, and all these goodies. Yeah, and they eventually ended up just going by. They sent everybody who ordered a ticket 2 of whatever, because they already had your mailing address. And so when you bought a ticket, they just sent 2 CDs and posters or whatever back to you. So you give it to your guests. Versus, man, could you imagine if they were just half the people lost their little cards and they were expecting a nice personal CD of that night? Woo! I'd have been upset.
Well, before we conclude about the ballroom show, like you said, it's amazing to see John solo, because I've seen John maybe 10 times solo. Whether it was
you got a handful underneath you, son.
Yeah, just whether it was an acoustic show or with the KOS. But it's amazing to see John. I think John's a lot. I think when he's with the band, he's more hands-on, in control, because he's the CEO of this huge phenomenon.
Very business-like. No playing around. Only have fun when it's supposed to, kind of deal.
But the KOS shows are him having fun. I remember the cruise last year. He was just having a blast. Someone made a mistake, all well. He was he's more loose, and you love seeing him do. I'm not saying this because I'm a huge Bon Jovi fan, but it's amazing how he can take anybody else's song, and make it 10 times more incredible.
The Hampton Water Live Party, when they did Black Eyed Peas and stuff like that. I was like, yo, I like this better. I would really like to hear this if he busted that out of the campfire or a little. He could play any of those songs like that at a private show, and everybody would know and really enjoy it.
Yep.
And I hope. He seemed like he was a little embarrassed to do it, but I was like, yo, that's really good.
Yeah.
And,
sorry. Go ahead.
No, man, I was gonna say I was reminiscing about it. It was good times.
Yeah. We still have about 10 minutes left, so let's go to and this is something I am completely jealous of because Rollercoaster is in my top 5
Oh, man, what a good song. Yeah.
favorite songs. And you were, well, I'll let you tell the story. But I
Oh,
live in jealousy, so I'll let you.
yeah, well, yeah, jealousy. Speaking, go with that. I got your Christmas card from you sent me a couple of years back. I opened
Oh,
it up.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, oh man, from Jerry, and it's you with John Bon Jovi. I'm gonna tell this story and say I've got many really good ones, intimate stories of like going to see Bon Jovi, and I've never got a picture or met the man. It's fascinating to me. Like
Yeah.
I've been to all these things. I've never been to the one where it's like, oh, you get a photo op or this and that. And I'll tell you, like in the story, like that's how my luck just gets real close and it curves away so fast. But I got to be in the roller coaster video. And so this morning I was thinking, I was like, I got to figure out how it really started. And I want to say from my like, the Bon Jovi community, from a page I followed, I'm trying to think who messaged me and they sent me a link. They were like, hey, this director is doing a Bon Jovi video. And we don't know the legitimacy of it, but they were like, you should check it out and see if you could be in it. And it sent me to a link to his Instagram page. And can I give a shout out to him, the director?
Sure.
What's up, man? Ulysses Torero, my man. But he was looking and he did I think he did the knockout video as well. And
Right.
it was there. It was like picture of John Bon Jovi. Hey, looking for extras and stuff for a future Bon Jovi video. So you contact, and there, I'll explain how it works later too, because I took like some acting classes. How lucky I am, and so you contact them, and if they like you, they'll look at you, and they'll ask you to send like a picture, send 3 pictures in, your name, etc., information, and if they like you, they'll get back to you. And what's happening there is like, I guess how I worded it is John Bon Jovi puts out they have an idea, and then John Bon Jovi's like, hey, these are the kind of people we want, I guess, and it's like a pyramid. They're cutting down to a certain pocket of people, and then those people, they give those to the band and John Bon Jovi. I guess Obi handles that stuff too. And then he handpicks the people, which is the greatest thing about it. I was told, hey, John Bon Jovi picked you to be in this video. Like, to everybody else that was there that's not a big Bon Jovi fan, they're probably, oh, great, how much does it pay? I was like, oh my God.
I'll do it for free.
Oh my God. It's for life. He picked me. He must know me. And this is crazy too, because so that's how it worked. And then something happened because they were like, okay, you're part of the amount of people. We'll let you know tomorrow. And then I saw another post on his site that he said, hey, if you were selected for the Bon Jovi video, please email me right away. I thought it was something wrong. The selections they had were originally, they were lost to get sent to John Bon Jovi. So I contacted the director and he's like, hey, you were connected. You were the first person to get back. And since your email came up, we have the people again. So not only did they have to do that, he said they had to resend the pictures of people again back to John Bon Jovi just to double check. And so then he picked me a second time. He could have been like, nah, man, that guy's a little crazy. But so I'm all the way up in Buffalo, New York, all right, so near your area.
Yeah.
And it was filmed on October 25th, 2016, right? Does that ring a bell, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think my dates are right. And
the video came out, I think, in December, so
yeah,
it was like a month or so.
My dad's birthday was on the 24th. It's on 24th, yeah. So I had plans to come down here to Maryland, where I'm at now, and see him on his birthday. And literally, like I get a call from a Brooklyn number, and I was like, I gotta answer it because it might be this. It looked legitimate. He called me. He's like, hey, Paul. He's like, you've been selected. He's like, can you be here on the 25th? Right? I was like, yeah, absolutely. And they double check and ask you to send like a picture, like holding a U or something real definitive that they ask you in case what if I sent a picture of me 10 years ago? You know, they're real picky. So then pack everything up, literally. My cousins thought I was joking. I literally grabbed the backpack, walked out of my apartment, and they were like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going to New York City. Like, going to be a Bon Jovi music video."
No,
Didn't waste no time, dude. I drove to Maryland, 9 hours to Maryland to come see my father and them. And then the next night, I drove from here, and I drove like 4.5 hours to right outside of Coney Island. I got a hotel, and so you get your descriptions of what to do for the next morning, email. And man, let me tell you, talk about nerves. Like I'm not married or nothing like that, but like I was sitting in my hotel room at like 11 o'clock at night. Like this is happening tomorrow. I have no idea. I'm rookie, dude, no idea. And I get there. I'm the first one there, and I'm the only one that drove a car. Everyone else was from the general area because they were looking for New Yorkers for the video. And I think I got in with a loophole because I was living in Buffalo, and I'm like, technically, I'm a New Yorker, you know, or not. And the cool thing, he didn't think I was actually coming from Buffalo. He thought that might have been a joke. And but I got in, did everything. They got craft services, and say that Bon Jovi rented out all of Coney Island, the whole little amusement park there. So it was just you and like, 15, 20 people, something like that, of extras and stuff. And all the crews there. And they really just wanted you. How it worked is they had you set up as couples. And you're out just having, at the amusement park, having a good time. And in the music video, man, that day it was like 40, 43 maybe. It was cold right on the ocean.
Yeah.
And they have you up in these roller coasters, and they're like, you have to act like it's not that cold. It was freezing. And you have a little break room on the side too, and like heaters and tents. And it was like, man, it was like a 10 plus hour day. You'd be in a room sitting with everybody else, and everyone's on their cell phones. And
Okay.
keep in mind, I'm sitting there like, when's Bon Jovi getting here? I know it's supposed to happen. And they would tell you like, okay, Bon Jovi's not getting here until 3, so we need to get this stuff in, and you'd be sitting at a table, and they'd come up and they'd look like, you and you come with me. And you'd go shoot a scene and do something and switch it up. So it was pretty cool. You got to see everything with it. And then say Bon Jovi, in between sets, I wrote this down because I like this little tidbit of it, and I catch it in movies a lot now too. Right before Bon Jovi gets there, they're like, all right, they start freaking out, and everyone's got to start sweeping up in front of, like, they're performing in front of this, in the video. There's this like airplane ride that's spinning around behind them. It's a blue one. And they're sweeping it up vigorously. I mean, it looked clean already. And then they bring in hoses and they're spraying all of it down. And I asked why. And they said, first of all, I heard them talk, and they were like, Mr. Bon Jovi's real strict on things being clean in the video setup and stuff. And you could tell he is for things being in order. Like, no, oh man, I forgot that. Like, I don't think you do that around Mr. Bon Jovi. I think he expects things and is not afraid to pay money for it, but he has an expectation when it's done. And now, say when they're performing, you'll look and you'll see the pavement all wet.
Yeah.
When I asked him, and look in movies now too, when you see like an outdoor scene, it's in every movie now. The roads are wet because they said they're filming and things are taking time and money. If a dust cloud or something goes in the way, it ruins it. So they wet all the pavement down so everything stays, and it looks cleaner too. So not only is that, I like seeing that in the movie, and I learned that. But every time you watch a movie now, watch and see, you'll see all the roads are usually wet when there's like an important scene somewhere. Yeah. You'll pay attention to it. But
I'm gonna be looking out for that now.
Oh man, I never noticed it. But yeah, man, it was cool. You got, I had my couple seconds of fame in it, and I'm glad it came out to be a decent hit. I was glad to see it on This House Is Not For Sale tour, and to be a part of that. And say, I actually have a contract for that literally said John Bon Jovi is paying, and my name, email address, a social security card number for tax purposes. Like, I was literally an employee of John Bon Jovi for a day.
Yeah.
And I remember at the end, say it wasn't a whole lot of money, but they paid everybody in cash. But you had to fill out your tax forms too.
Yeah.
And so they walked in, dude, table, just stacks of cash across it. And I was like, man, I don't want to say I hope, I'm knocking on wood right now, but not pay taxes on it. And then you have to be called into court and they'll be like, Mr. Schultz, why didn't you pay taxes from the money you made from John Bon Jovi? Just so I could hear it.
Yeah.
Hey, how much could they possibly want from me? You know, I mean, it wasn't a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
But no, it's
So
that was awesome and so rare.
Did you get to see the band at all?
Here's the other part of it. This is my story about how I get so close to meeting John Bon Jovi, but it just doesn't happen. At the end, while they were filming the video, you know, they were like, "Hey, everyone be in the extras room. You know, it's cold, so everyone doesn't mind." And they everyone's on their phones, and like he has an idea, and he's like, "Okay, I want every one of you to stand up and tell me 5 minutes about yourself." And he was like, this is how cool he is too. He's like, you should be able to stand up and tell me 5 minutes about yourself without saying filler words like, and you should be able to go with it. And literally all these people who act all the time were like, my name's this, and I do that. And it's Skip, you know, me, I'm losing time to think about what I'm going to say. And then literally, like, I don't think they knew. No one knew until that moment that I'm like a diehard Bon Jovi fan. Yeah. And I don't know if that goes against the rules. Like, hey, you can't have like a fan addict on set in case for security reasons. You know, there's crazy people out there.
Oh, absolutely.
I could see that being a thing. But I kept it shut. I played cool. I was there. I know what's happening. And came to me and I stood up and I was like, hey, I got to tell everybody this. I do this, I do that. And I was like, this has been like the best day of my life. I was like, I've been to, 38 Bon Jovi shows since I was 16. I've spent all my money on like shows all the time and getting these experiences. And I was like, just the fact that you all were here to help make this video possible helps, my fandom and stuff, it creating it for me. So thank everybody. And I remember my speech was real empowering to people. And simply the conversations would change after that. Like the girl after me was like, wow, here I was. I didn't even really want to get up and come to work. And here you are, like, so grateful you drove from Buffalo to Maryland, from Maryland to New York City. And she was like, I was complaining that I had to drive 20 minutes on subway. And so it changed the course of it. So then right there, I knew I made like maybe a little impression, I guess. I wasn't trying to, but the director comes over and he was like, hey, have you ever met John Bon Jovi? And I was like, man, I haven't, to tell you the truth. I was like, this is the closest I think I've been. And he says, I tell you what, you stay right here. He says, and he said, I'm going out to talk to them right now. He says, and I'll get that hooked up, and he said, I'll try and get you to meet him in like the next couple minutes. So be ready. What does a man do? I was like, you've been out there for 10 hours. You just gave this speech, and you're like, I remember sitting in the room, and everybody had left. He's like, stay in here. And like your back, it's like my back was to the door. And I'm like facing the thing, and I'm like, man, what do I ask this man? What do I do? This might be a rare, small moment of like, an intimate conversation with John Bon Jovi at the time.
Right. So
and
what happens?
He comes back and opens the door, and he was like, man, you're not gonna believe this. He goes, I was out there, and they had to leave by helicopter and bus or whatever like that to go somewhere else. So I was like,
oh man.
But I was like, I get so close, and then it's like, hey, you can meet John Bon Jovi, and then nope.
Yeah. Man,
But it was a great,
yeah.
just
But you got to
what a great,
experience it, you know?
yeah. And you know what? I want to tell people who watch this, because a long time, even like in my early 20s, I would joke about it, but serious too. I was like, in my goals, I'd like I'd like to be in a Bon Jovi music video. I have countless friends that be like, yeah, he was the crazy one that say it, and I would. So how hard could it be? And finally, it happened. And really, if you would like to have the opportunity to try and be in any kind of music video, there's constantly places out there looking. You just got to search. And like I said, that was such a great experience for me that I would encourage everybody else to, if they wanted to try it, try it. It might not pay much, but look what you get to do. Like I said,
Yeah.
Bon Jovi's making more videos and doing things. It might pop up, and
Yeah.
maybe you'll see me again in another video.
Yeah. Well,
That'd be
buddy,
great.
unfortunately, time, we're over our time, but we'll have to have you on again and kind of
Oh,
talk
dude,
about more
definitely.
things. I know you and I, we could talk all day. But
That's why I asked you before. I was like, is it 3 hours or like a half hour?
Yeah.
They could go for
Yeah.
6. I don't know.
With YouTube and stuff, it's
Yeah.
easier to post, 40-minute videos, and we're, almost to an hour. So,
Mhm.
but, I know I'm going to see you again, and,
Yeah,
hopefully
man.
explore. And, we should do a runway trip or something, so, you
If
get a chance
I'll
to
tell
meet.
you, if one pops up soon, I'd
I
like to try. The thing is, it pops up, and then it'll be like, "Hey, you got $4,500 to spend on it, like tomorrow," and you'll be like, "Nah." So, but that's my next goal. Like, I have to do it. I'm not getting younger, and neither is he.
Yep,
So,
you got to do it. But anyway,
yeah.
buddy, thank you for coming on today and talking. It was kind of interesting to hear your experience with the music video and Starland.
Yeah.
And that. So, but
Great
I
to
hope
be on.
I hope you stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon, bud.
All right, thanks, man.
All right,
See you,
bye, buddy.
everybody.